After being confined inside for what felt like days of rain, I finally get a few hours to spend in one of my favourite places in the world, shooting grey squirrels from the hide. This is Squirrel Shooting, and this is Team Foxer. Well, that's not a good start. Make sure you're paying attention near the end of the video, as I will be announcing the winner of the Team Foxer cap. Right, let's get on with the video. So it's 2 days before Christmas, 23rd of December. It's a cold, foggy, wet evening. Pretty miserable. I've just been to the feeder. It was bone dry and I only topped it up 4 days ago. There's loads of scratching around the bottom of the feeder. And for this feeder, which holds a good 6.5 kilos or more of nuts to be empty in just a couple of days, means it's quite busy. So I'm quite hopeful of a good bag on Boxing Day. That's the day I'll be shooting it. This hide's been here now for 2 years. So well blended in. It looks a bit sorry for itself, in fact, but they're used to feeding with it here, so it's the beauty of having a permanent hide. Right, let's go home for a cup of tea. Well, I would have been out shooting it Boxing Day, but as you can see by the look on my face, the rain stopped play. It would be another week before I finally got the chance. Good morning. Well, it's the morning of the shoot. I woke up early and it was absolutely bucketing it down yet again. So we've got a very wet start to the day and I'm shooting a little later than anticipated. But nevertheless, it's time to get cracking. I think the entrance in, so I can get all my kit in there anyway, is going to be rather wet. But I'm quite excited to see how this morning goes. I've also been past, there's another feeder been put up just behind me and there's another squirrel on that. So there are plenty in the area. We'll just have to wait and see how many come to the feeder. Let's get cracking. Just for all of you fans out there, here it is, the famous red chair. Now, I'm not going to waste time by giving a full rundown of today's kit. I'll put the list of the kit I was using in the video's description. The pellets, though, were the JSB Exacts. Fantastic pellets, if you can keep them all in the tin, that is. Well, that's not a good start. So, after clearing up the mess that I've made, I put my rifle, the chair and all my camera kit inside the hide, and then go and erect my feeder camera, as I call it, which is simply my GoPro linked to my phone, so I can start and stop the recording remotely from my phone inside the hide. It also acts as a good little lookout. If you're not paying attention, you can just simply glance at your phone as I capture this beautiful robin in the morning sun. Starting a little later than I would have liked, I was hopeful and had my fingers crossed that the squirrels hadn't already had their feed and gone away again. But I didn't have to wait very long before we caught sight of our first customer of the morning. This squirrel, completely unfazed by the new introduction of the GoPro at the feeder, went straight in to feed on the peanuts. And as I fanny around inside the hide, ensuring that all of the cameras are recording, he duly runs off with a mouth full of nuts and goes to bury them way off to the left. Luckily for me, it's a family affair, and he's brought his sibling along to get in on a bit of the peanut action. Though you can tell from the body language of this squirrel, he's a little bit more cautious of the new addition to his environment. Reading the body language of this squirrel, I was quite sure once he'd got his confidence up, he would eventually settle to feed. It would be then that I would take the shot. I just need a little patience. Was that just me, or did that squirrel just lose a serious amount of eye juice? Let's check out the slow-mo. Now, unbeknown to me, and it wasn't until I played this clip back, there was actually another squirrel behind the tree. As I took the shot, he darted off there. You may have just caught a glimpse of it just behind the tree. Here it is again. So, with the first one down in fairly dramatic fashion, the early signs are good for a half-decent bag. It certainly isn't long before the squirrels are moving around in the woods again. The third grey visitor to my feeder this morning lingers just a little too long looking at his friend, so I give him a helping hand and send him on his way. What was quite interesting is pretty much every squirrel that had visited so far had come in from a different angle. This squirrel, cautious though he is, has a couple of friends in the background, but I'm quite certain this is Stashy McNashy. After remembering to cock the rifle, of course, it's just a case of which one of these squirrels will settle the longest and give me an opportunity to take the shot. Ah, well, I guess that settles that then. This one it is. The extra oomph of the FAC S510 seems to dump a lot of energy into those poor little squirrels' heads, but it is effective nevertheless. Dead before it hit the floor as the last few electrodes fire off in the squirrel's muscle system. I'm using today a new spotter from HIKMICRO, the Gryphon. I have used it on a previous episode, rat shooting, and you will see a more detailed video review of this product later on in January. It's a brilliant handheld spotter this, and perfect for the job in hand of spotting squirrels coming from the trees behind the feeding station and ensuring you've got your ranges accurate, as it has a built-in laser rangefinder. Here the feeder is exactly 20 metres. You can see just how sensitive it is here at picking up the little birds.
It's certainly a stark contrast from the shoot I had on the squirrels a few weeks ago, where it was really foggy, really wet. Now it was absolutely nailing it down earlier this morning. Nevertheless, as you know, it's just great to be out, especially when it's like this. What a beautiful day to be outside.
As you can see, this squirrel in no particular hurry to get to the feeder, so I had time to film it with the Gryphon spotter, and interestingly enough here the sensor is so good it will actually pick up the heat signatures on the tree trunks left by the squirrel's paws. This squirrel perhaps a little anxious of the dead bodies on the floor, but ultimately the draw of the peanuts is too strong and he just has to have a feed. So I take full advantage of that. To my surprise, I just set the HIKMICRO spotter up on the tripod attached to the hide itself, and less than 2 minutes later, a squirrel comes in, this time from the hedgerow on the right. So of course, I get myself ready, press record on the ATN 4K Pro, and get ready to hopefully take out squirrel number 5. This is proving to be a fairly productive session after all. This squirrel also a little cautious and took quite a long time to settle. In fact, he settled hanging vertically underneath the bird box, so I took it there. You could see a little bit of the blood loss there with the scope camera, but you can see quite a lot more using the thermal. So as I sit back in the hide listening to the bird songs, enjoying my brew, I'm keeping abreast of the action, utilising the direct Wi-Fi from the spotter to my phone.
Oh, buy it, that was good. On with the action.
This one even more cautious than the last, so again I'll fast forward this bit until he settles on the feeder. Though it was probably the two golfers to the left of the feeder talking that actually distracted this squirrel and made him freeze. So, once again, I'll take advantage of that. Thank you, golfers. And before anybody says it, no, there is no risk there for the golfers, because the feeder is to the right of the tree, and I'm actually shooting from the left, so if anything misses, the pellet's going to sail straight into the field that's behind it and not onto the golf course. What a beautiful woodpecker this is. This is probably one of the issues when you're trying to self-film the shooting as well as take all of the shots, etc, etc as well. Here I clearly just took a little too long to get the camera set up, and this squirrel got a mouthful of peanuts and ran off to the left. All I can do is hope that he makes a return trip back to the feeder, and if he does, next time I won't be fanning around so much, I'll be a bit quicker on the trigger. Luckily for me, I don't have to wait long before he makes a return trip, but this time I'm going to utilise squeaking and seeing if that stops him before he runs off.
You're not running away this time.
Looks like I was right, it had a large cache of nuts in the mouth, but the heightened adrenaline means this squirrel's got a little bit more go, so a second follow-up shot is required to ensure a humane dispatch.
Well, squirrel number 7 there had come up, grabbed a nut and gone away before. I wasn't going to give him the same opportunity this time, so he got the first nut. I very nearly squeezed the trigger and he went straight in for a second one quite quickly and looked like he was going to scurry off, so I gave it a very quick lip squeak. It froze and I took the shot, but I had to wait quite some considerable time for that one to revisit, so that may well be the last one. I'm not too sure. Although it's relatively mild, one thing I would say, if you are hide shooting, or in fact any type of shooting, you must be comfortable. That's why I use this very comfy office chair. It does the rounds of me whether I'm pigeon shooting and so on and so forth. Very warm jacket, this deer hunter jacket, neck scarf to keep the chill out, thermal hat. But you mustn't neglect your feet. If you're not comfortable shooting, then you won't shoot that well. You'll just be concentrating on your feet being cold or your hands being cold, etc. So always wear the right gear. In terms of your feet, if you're doing a lot of static shooting like this in cold weather, I always use these Hot Hands foot warmers. You can find these in the Team Fox or Amazon shop. I'll put a link to it down below. But these will keep your feet nice and toasty if you stood still or sat still for any length of time and it's cold out. So make sure you've got some of those in your arsenal. Well, we're approaching 11:30. I'm going to have another cup of tea, maybe a quick bite to eat, and then we'll think about wrapping up.
Well, we've come to the end of my time here in the woods this morning. It's midday and she wants to go shopping again. Anyway, 7 grey squirrels down is a great result as far as I'm concerned. I was really chuffed that I got that one that went away really quickly and came back. I wasn't going to make that same mistake again twice. Once again, the kit has performed flawlessly, the Air Arms S510 ATN combo, and it was really very helpful having the Gryphon spotter there to be able to see squirrels coming from quite far back in what are now naked trees. There's no foliage on them and you can see the squirrels coming in from a good distance away. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like this, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. For now though, take care, stay safe, and as always, happy shooting. Wait, you thought I'd forgot, didn't you? The winner of the Team Foxer hat is Big Alan Bass, so I'll get in touch with you and arrange to get that sent out to you. Thank you very much everybody for entering. Stay tuned for more competitions coming up soon. Well, I've had worse mornings.